There has been a price to it, of course, because what it's meant is that lots of people have had to be released in order to put these people into prison. So let's talk to Sam, former prison officer, to find out how that's all going to work. Sam, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Firstly, happy birthday, mate.
Thank you. You're very kind, and hopefully this will go slightly better than the last bloke I had on. The thing about prison, right, I suppose, is that people who've been in prison know what it's like, but people who have never been in prison are in for a sort of short, sharp shock, aren't they?
They are, yeah. It's definitely not a holiday camp, you know, as it is portrayed.
Yeah.
It's boring, and right now it's a very dangerous place to be.
And that's because of the other inmates, presumably.
Yeah, of course it is. So it's been in decline, the prison service, over the last decade. They're struggling to recruit staff. They're recruiting the wrong people. They've got the biggest prison population, the least staff, the most inexperienced staff, the youngest staff, inexperienced management. Not a good place to be, Mike, not at all.
No, exactly. And in terms of where these people will be sent, because an awful lot of them have been sentenced to time in places like Liverpool, Merseyside, you know, over towards Rotherham, you know, it's lots of places in North of England. Will they be sent to prisons in those kind of areas in the north of England, or is it sort of, could they go anywhere?
Right, Mike, it's a postcode lottery, mate. Oh. So depending where you commit your crime, depending on the courts you go to, depends on the prison you go to. So I'm from Manchester. Excuse me, Mike. I've just... Somebody trying to phone me. Apologies for that.
That's all right. Don't worry.
So I worked at two prisons, Strangeways, yeah. HMP Manchester, and Forest Bank in Salford, 2 mile apart.
Right.
People from Bolton and Oldham would go to Forest Bank. People from Manchester and Salford would go to Strangeways. So where the crime's committed, where the sentence determines where they're going to prison.
Yeah, and I remember Strangeways being part of a documentary way back, probably 20, 30 years ago, and it was thought to be out of date then, so presumably it's really out of date now.
Well, you know, you only have to look at Wandsworth. Wandsworth has come under the cosh the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We had a lad getting out last year. Shocking state. 100 million they're giving to Wandsworth, yeah?
Right.
Which sounds like a lot of money. It won't make any difference, mate. It's all about staffing issues in prison.
Right.
Going back to where these people will be going and whether at risk, if they go to, say, Forest Bank, that prison now, behind doors, has got race wars going on. Predominantly people from Bolton and Oldham are from a certain ethnic background.
Yeah.
People from Wigan and the like, another. And it's going off.
Oh, really?
It's definitely.
And I mean, I guess the problem for the prison guards is that they haven't got the resources to deal with stuff like that, so they just let it carry on.
A lot of prisons are in special measures, which means they haven't got enough staff. They are moving prison officers around. I spoke to a prison officer the other day, a young lad, who is literally 2 days in one prison, a week in another prison and the like, just to survive.
Right.
It's chaos. No one's talking about it. We're not rehabilitating people. We never have done,
right.
Although people can change. What I'm hoping, the Prime Minister, you know, if he's going to send a message out, and I agree, if someone's going to assault a police officer, 3 years, you need to do your time.
Yeah.
Yeah? I hope that is the benchmark. Me. So, punching a police officer, 3 years is the benchmark.
Yeah.
The other thing, Mike, in fact, I'll let you speak. You asked me the questions.
Yeah,
anything.
Okay. No, well, what I was going to say was, you know, yes, that's all fine and dandy, and it's good that we're locking these people up. But one of the things that we found out and we discovered just the other day was that in order to make room for them in these prisons, they've let go a lot of other people who might have actually committed worse crimes than the guys going in for rioting.
Good point. Right. Firstly, anyone who's low risk, in prison, your sentence, your crime determines a risk. Yeah? Low, medium, high risk. Anyone who's high risk, violent or sex offender should not be released for me.
Right.
You know, and we are releasing people like that.
Yeah.
So that's out of order. And if you're doing it to prove a point, then it's not sending a very good message out for me.
No. Well, that's exactly the problem, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, I think one of the people that we highlighted who's coming out is somebody who was found guilty of manslaughter for the stabbing death of a young boy, a 14-year-old boy.
Machete attack.
Yeah, the machete attack. He's only been in for like 2 months and he's coming out.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. Knife crime. Everyone's talking about knife crime. Yeah. And somebody who's been part of a machete attack is serving 6 months.
Yeah.
What sort of message? You've attacked, somebody's died, and you've got 6 months.
Yeah.
That's not going to discourage anyone from carrying weapons, is it?
No, of course not. And that's the other thing I was going to ask you about. I mean, what do you make of the way that the police have been able to be kind of galvanised into clamping down on these riots? Because a lot of people have said to me, this proves that the police can do it when they want to do it, so why don't they do it for other things, like knife crime, like stopping the boats, like actually, you know, making sense of the streets and making them safer?
Look, I'm no politician, Mike, but for me, the police have become politicised.
Yeah.
You know, they should be an independent body, and if they're not tackling crime at a basic level, which they're not, robbery, burglaries, car theft, muggings, shoplifting, you know, then it's a lost cause.
Well, this is it, and this is why people are so sort of annoyed and angry and upset. And I'm not talking about the ones who are just rioting. I'm talking about the ones who are, you know, just genuinely disapproving of the government and disapproving of the way the country is being run because they don't feel safe on their own streets.
No, they don't. Again, it's a postcode lottery, isn't it, Mike? It depends where you live.
Yeah.
You know, where I am in West Yorkshire, I've not seen any of it. However, I have friends who live in other areas that, and that's all races and ethnicities as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very divisive what the government's doing for me, and dare I mention two-tier policing?
Yes, of course you can, because we believe it is true here, even though we keep being told by politicians and police that it doesn't exist. We know it exists.
But from what I see, there's no question. I believe there is a fear amongst the police.
Yeah.
I've spoke to many ex-coppers, people who are still in the job. They believe that indoctrinated in police college, the training.
Yeah.
There's lads now and lasses who are sickened by what's going on. But, you know, the time in, they've got a pension to look after, they've got families, they've got mortgages. However, I would think a lot of them people will be looking to leave now and get out of that profession, me.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, really, and we're also recruiting the wrong people, like the prison service. The prison service now are taking anybody, Mike, and have been for a long time, and it don't work.
And that can't be good, no. Listen, Sam, delightful to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. We must get you on again, because I know you've got loads more to tell us. Former prison officer, host of the Real Porridge podcast. Go and find it. Go and have a look for it. And Sam, a very sensible man.